Hi, good morning. Welcome to my channel. I'm Thomas Sim, PA2066. Today is 20th of June, 2022. I'm doing a video presentation today for a complicated topic, Anti-Money Laundering Act. AMLA is now a long name. It should be Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activity Act 2001. So this is the amended name of the act. So this is quite a complicated topic. I hope that those who are listening in can have the time and patience to go through the whole lot. The lengthy presentation of almost 60 slides. Let me go in. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Thomas in PA2066. Today is 20th of June 2022. So DCR, KYC stroke CDD, STRCO, what are they? Is the topic I have selected for maybe more catchy way of trying to summarize all the key important required reportings that is in the AMLA, in the act that affects real estate practitioner. So this part on the selection of the title, just to be eye-catchy, we have to remember key abbreviations, TCR, KYC or CDD, STR and CO. Of course, there are a few more which I will add in later. But the general idea is that to remember that there is requirement in the Act, mandatory for registered estate agent or estate agency firm to report for all these activity that is supposed to be unlawful because the Act says anti-money laundering, anti-terrorism financing, proceeds of unlawful activities. So any unlawful activities we in the Act, we are having that duty to report. So let me start. So this is the name of the law, Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001, AMLA. It's the primary piece of the legislation in Malaysia covering the AML CFT law. So AML is actually anti-money laundering and stroke CFT is counter financing of terrorism. This is the main piece of legislation which affects the countries throughout the world after the event of 911. The Act defines the offences of money laundering and the financing of terrorism and sets out the measures that financial institutions must take to detect and prevent those criminal activities. So this main part of the Act was talking about financial institution. However, our talk today is actually on the other part, which is institution. They call it the reporting institution, RI, which are not financial institution like banks. So we are in the professional services, so it's included in the other part of the area where the law also covers. So it will be including non-financial institution. It also details the investigatory powers that the authorities have in the prosecution of money laundering and terrorism financing cases. So this is a long-winded type of summarizing the purpose of AMLA, which is to stop the likely possible financing of the terrorism. Because the earlier one is anti-money laundering. Anti-money laundering part has been around longer time, but the terrorism, anti-terrorism part came about after 911. So later I will show you the timeline, the way how the law was amended and enacted. So this is a typical money laundering scheme where you can see the placement, the money which is on the top, collection of dirty money. This dirty money can be from the illegal businesses, illegal criminal businesses. One of the very easy example is drug trafficking. And this money goes to a bank, the dirty money goes to electronic wear to a few parts. They call it washing, layering. So they layer from one bank to another bank, transfer funds between various offshore and onshore banks. These are banks that are not under the normal governing area of the national bank of each region. So these offshore banks will be the place to wash this money and later use this money back to the country to make purchase of luxury asset, financial investment, commercial and industrial investment. So this is the reason why the real estate practitioners are involved here, because of the integration whereby this money has been layered and later on used to purchase all the luxury assets, making use of these luxury assets as to carry the dirty money and surface out when they dispose of these types of luxury assets. So these luxury assets here you can see sport cars, motorbike, watches, of course painting it's not illustrated here. So you can think of 1 MBB case, then you already know what are those luxury assets. Also in the US, well, it has been used from all these proceeds from illegal money from other countries, including Russia. A lot of Russia warlords and cults of the Russian contractors, they buy properties in US. Of course, these are protected by the US government so that there's money flowing into US. So these are, on one side, one says it is a dirty money. On the other side, it is money which is beneficial for the certain politician in the country. So these are difficult area, but because there is a 911, after the 911, this whole thing came out as important to regulate because public outrage. So you can see 911 is at the time 2001. AMLA also was gazetted 2001. In fact, amendment changed in 2003. So we know that anti-money laundering came about before 911, but then the terrorism one came more significantly noticed in the law in 911 after the 911. So this is the timeline of how it came about. So Anti-Money Laundering Act 2001 actually all started before that. 2000 April, there were already issues on this money laundering. Indeed, earlier than 911, there was already a lot of drug money, all these gambling type of money, all coming in to the detriment of the nation. So therefore, after 911, because Malaysia became a international hub for some of these transactions, so they were zooming in into this area of trying to enforce the law. So this was international pressure. So FIU is for Financial Intelligence Unit of the country. So it is cross-country. It's not just in Malaysia. It's cross-countries in all countries affected by this terrorism. And the issue of how this law became involved is that it involves a lot of ministry, not just one ministry. Indeed, anti-money laundering is involving all kinds of activities, all kinds of businesses, and therefore it involves many parts of the mechanism of how the country try to stop. So it can you can see it from the anti-corruption agency part, Attorney General, Company Commission, Inland Revenue, when person has income tax. Labuan offshore because it's offshore financial activity, domestic trade and consumer, and Ministry of Finance, of course, because Bank Negara and Ministry of Finance is into one. Ministry of Foreign Affairs because it involves foreign country. Ministry of Internal Security, Home Ministry, Royal Malaysian Custom, Malaysian Police, and the Security Commission for the listed company. So all this putting in a lot of pressure onto collective, in that sense, a collective effort from all the different various agencies to combat the money flowing. So in fact, if you cannot catch it on one ministry, you can catch it on the other ministry. So this is how this whole lot come together. So involving us is actually the Ministry of Finance, because the board of valuer, appraiser, estate agents and property managers is under Ministry of Finance, and we are all under the scrutiny of this law. Bank Negara is chosen as the main body that execute all this on paper. So what kind of policy document that I refer to in this particular presentation? I refer a lot to this Bank Negara issue policy document called the Anti-Money Laundering, Counter-Financing of Terrorism and Targeted Financial Sanctions for the designated non-financial. As I said just now, it also involves non-financial. So designated non-financial businesses and professions. So here I highlight the word professions. So in short, abbreviation is DNFBPS, and also non-bank financial institutions. So this is a long name. I just highlight it as in abbreviation here. AML CFT Act 2001. This is Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act. So this is the main piece of the law. So this law actually brings into different parts of regulations, and this also into Bank Negara to zoom into area of targeted financial sanctions, targeted financial TFS sanctions onto the non-bank sectors. Non-bank sectors here means non-financial businesses and also professions. So here it's relates to a few professions and also different businesses, non-financial type. So what are the non-financial businesses? One example is maybe you are selling a luxury painting jewelry all these are actually not financial service, but then they are involved in just now the main dirty money flow, that the money is used to purchase this expensive or high cost, high worth assets. So painting, also jewelry, expensive things. And profession means those who are dealing with it. So that means those profession that has deals on this system of how money flow. So it say is a lawyer. Lawyer also handles purchase agreement, or handles a project agreement, and handles sales and purchase agreement. So it's involved into buying property. So the lawyer and the real estate people, real estate practitioners are involved in that sense under these professions. So these professions are supposed to be able to have a watchful eye on how the money flows. And a non-bank financial institution, so they are non-bank financial institutions, maybe fund related types of mutual fund type of companies. They are non-banks, but then they are involved in financial things. Right, just also to capture your attention to those abbreviation I use in the topic today, which is DCR, called Data and Compliance Report. So data and compliance report is required for filing into the Bank Negara. This is online file in. It is mandatory for all those under the non-bank sector, non-bank sector where I mentioned just now, the businesses like lawyer, accountant, company secretary, and all these who are having a role or a business of their profession involved in the transfer of big amount of money. KYC is actually know your customer or know your client. Another name is called CDD, customer due diligence. SDR is actually suspicious transaction report. So SDR is only when you see a transaction that is suspicious that you do the reporting. KYC and CDD, these are things that you need to watch out for when you engage your customer to know your customer. Compliance officer is something which is required for the reporting institution. And legal persons and beneficiary or beneficial ownership, these two are LP and BO. I put at the last two because it doesn't involve much of real estate practitioner, but we have to keep an eye on this part because it talk about who actually is behind the company. So if you have a company that says want to buy in a big piece of plantation land, and you do not just take it as like, wow, big money falling from the sky. You have to make sure you rule out these issues of who are the people behind these big companies. Would there be a high risk of money laundering or cases of the beneficial ownership, the person behind it, normally a nominee or somebody who has influence over this big company, is trying to use it as a vehicle of washing the dirty money. So this is the landing page of the Bank Negara Malaysia website for AML and CFT. So if you want to get more information, as it is a lengthy topic, so you may not want to watch the video, the whole lot of video, but then to go to the website, I recommend that you go to the website of Bank Negara Malaysia and look for the information that you want. All the forms and the reporting requirements are all here. And just go to AML CFT regime under circular and guidance. You see a lot of material there. Similarly, under the requirements, so you go to the requirements talking about, are you a reporting institution, due diligence for customer, sanction related to all these financial sanctions, record keeping, report to, this is the suspicious transaction report. You need to appoint a compliance officer. What are the issues when it's non-compliance? And I will highly recommend to read the frequently asked questions section. So for me, I extract some of this information from this site, other financial and non-financial sector, because we are under real estate. So they put it under this DNFBP, anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism and targeted financial sanction for designated non-financial businesses and professions. So this is the main part that I refer to. So these are parts on the forms. You can see registered estate agent. You can log in and check out what are the things that you can download here. So whole lot of background on AMLA and the involvement of real estate practice into some of these requirements. How actually it begin and when did it begin? The DCR requirement. So for us is we receive notification from the board saying that we need to file in the DCR. So that was on the 1st of September 2020. At that time was already MCO. Indeed, the whole lot started in the Bank Negara roughly a year before, 2019. And then the thing came about in September to us. Notice came out from the board on the 1st of September 2020. So because the Bank Negara gave this notice to all the agency. So here it says that all reporting institutions under this AMLA have to be made known for the data and compliance report 2020 for all these required professions. So this circular was informed and remind the reporting institution to file in a compliance report, DCR, data and compliance report, on the 22nd of May. But then later, because this actually got updated, deadline extended to 4th of September. But even up to 4th of September, not many people actually filed in this. Indeed, a lot of delay in the implementation. Indeed, on the updated 2021 report from the Bank Negara, which came out from the board, real estate practitioner is the worst, I think, probably, because we are not the one that is doing this every year, not like accountant and lawyer. So this year update on registered estate agent sector only submitted 98 out of 1,390 firms. And then although this first year, 2020 was the first year, so the report of the filing came about in September, 1 year later, 3rd of September 2021, because the earlier on it was delayed to September 2020, and many actually did not report lah. So the complicated thing to make it into simple chart form is this one. Tell me what should I do. Actually, well, you have to go through this chart. It says that, well, when you are a reporting institution, which sector are you? We are under the registered estate agent. Here you can see dealers in precious metal stones, gaming, leasing and factoring, money lender, pawn brokers, registered estate agent, external accountants, external company secretaries, external lawyer and notary public, trust companies. And if you are under this category, then yes, you need to report. You need to appoint your compliance officer, and you need to proceed to submit the DCR through this website portal. Mandatory. It's a mandatory, and successful submission will be issued a report card in identifying the area and gaps for improvement. So later we will go to the DCR. What exactly is DCR? How detailed is this DCR about? Of course, if you are not a reporting institution here, then you come to no need to report. So we'll go through some of these frequently asked questions for the data and compliance report. This is obtained from the Compliance Report Information Kit 2021. Frequently asked question for DCR. What is DCR? DCR is a supervisory tool for this act adopted by Bank Negara Malaysia as a competent authority under AMLA. So Bank Negara is a competent authority, so some sort of being placed with the Bank Negara to do most of the things. So who must submit DCR? All these I mentioned just now, registered estate agent, I actually put with an arrow. But then there is an exception. If you are in-house lawyer or in-house secretary or in-house accountant, no need. This one is only for external, external lawyer, external accountant, external company secretary. So second is, why should I submit the DCR? So the person who asked this question, this is the answer. Comply with the law, mainly the AMLA section 1432 and section 83, for the purpose that they want to monitor money transfer here and there, just in case there is a reason of concern in big scale terrorism. When can I submit? Until November 2021. So it now becomes mid-June to mid of November every year. You submit in a length 5 months here in an electronic manner. All these websites are given. Do I need to appoint a CO prior to submitting? Yes, I need to appoint a CO. CO is compliance officer before attempting to do this, because they want to make sure it's not simply anyone doing this. You have one voice from one report. There is a way that to nominate who is a CO. CO must go through certain training maybe, and also able to carry out certain types of non-conflict types of reporting. And what does this DCR covers? DCR covers a few parts. Part A, information reporting institution, is about your background information. Part B, business information and structure. Part C, the risk of money laundering and terrorism financing. And the Part D, the program that you establish to stop all these things. And as we can see, it is not many who reported. So the possible reasons are probably due to tedious way of reporting, lots of detail required. Well, companies or the reporting institutions are not happy to disclose some of these information. So too much of detail need to disclose, so it's not good for tax also. So reports by bank negara showing non-compliance and red flags. So it's like eventually later part in the presentation I'll show you some of these things. So for full DCR for the registered estate agent, I bring you to this full DCR. So this is the full DCR of all sectors, but including that in there is for registered estate agent. So this one all are done online, so you can actually have a pull down and then click. So it has to be done online, almost like an e-filing type. The city, the address, postcode, who is the compliant officer, also the name of the person. So the part A, information on reporting institution. So this one detail. If it is a registered estate agent, then you have to put number of your registered estate negotiator or the real estate negotiator. So you need to key in how many registered person under the REN. All the information on what is the total investment expense complying to the law. You need to tell to put in how many person and what are the income. Reporting institution, part A, information of reporting institution. Business information structure, who are the main person in the company, total number of transactions per year, total revenue of your firm. This part is the difficult part. A lot of people don't want to disclose how much they make. What is the firm total number of customers? Most people will not have a track or record on this also. Domestic and political connected people, foreign politically exposed person, customer, all these subcategory is difficult to go into detail. So this one indeed come from the know your customer. If you need to know your customer and to that detail, some customer doesn't want to tell who they are. Even legal person, customer of your firm. Wow, this is very detailed. From the total legal person customer, please fill in the number of respective type of legal person customer. This is applicable. So LP, legal person. Legal person here means which company. Maybe sometimes it's a Sandberg company or a partnership where you need to know what are the company and also the people involved, who are the directors involved behind the company. And in fact, some of the directors also are just dummy director. They are nominee. So the real connected person who has influence is actually behind. The name not really shown in the company. So in fact, very detailed by country. How the customer make payment, how your firm establish business relationship, all these detailed questions. Method used in non-face-to-face. If you have overseas buying property into Malaysia, then how do you communicate with these people? Branches of the company, foreign branches if you have. And this part is specific for registered estate agent, business information structure. Does your firm have any formal domestic international affiliation? If yes, state the name of the affiliation. So let's say if you have international affiliation with some branches overseas. So sometimes the big companies or from overseas come to Malaysia. So you have this international look. So in that case, you are multinational. So therefore, you have international connection. State the name of the affiliation. Does your firm assist domestic customer overseas transaction? So this means in the case where domestic customer buying overseas, like buying to Australia, buying to UK property, you have to report. Information and structure, talking about registered estate agent, provide value. That means of fees. So tenancy, how much you have collected, project, how much you collected, sub-sale, how much you collected, and all these fees for respective customer value in RM. So imagine if you have hundreds and hundreds of real estate negotiator and you have to monitor what are the deals that they have closed, and some of these deals are actually not disclosed to the firm as well. Provide the number of transactions respective service in your firm offers. Wow. Detail, provide number of customer per sector of business for overseas, domestic, project sale and sub-sale. Business information structures, part B, looking at information relating to business information structure of your firm. Is there any other information? Information in do you understand the risk? What are the available steps inside your company? How do you mitigate the risk? Customer risk, product risk, transaction delivery, channel risk, geographical risk. See, not yet finished. Part D, the programs, customer due diligence. Do you have any individual customer? What is the information you collect when you identify your individual customer or person conducting transaction? All this information is required in the DCR. Full name, contact number, residential address, date of birth, nationality, occupation type, IC number, name of employer, purpose of transaction. Others please specify for gaming outlet, when identifying a winner or person conducting transaction on behalf of the winner or any person specified by the winner. So all these are important to note that if you engage a customer who buys property from you, you need to know their information here. What are the documents to use to verify the identity of the individual customer? Would you use checking on the IC, my card, digital certificate or digital identity, or other types of bankruptcy check and all those things? Does your firm have any customer who are legal person, or company partner, or limited liability partnership? So in case you are dealing with a Sendirian Berhad company or dealing with a LLP, then you need to know who are the people inside the company. What information do you collect when you identify a legal person customer? Then you need to know who is the key director, who are the person involved. So let's say I deal with a company that put his overseas expatriates into condominium, and then these are rented for 3 years, let's say less than 3 years. So these are senior managers, expatriates. So we need to know who are the company directors who sign this tenancy, who are actually the expatriates who come into and stay in these places. There are a lot more things. I don't want to go to too much detail. Just briefly on this full sets for data and compliance report. It's already like how many pages? Terribly 27 pages. 27 pages. Very tedious to work on, and this is all online. So you have things to tick and choose and to key in the figures. So there is also involving the transaction report, suspicious transaction reporting. You have to have a standard form. And how do you establish your SOP, your standard operating procedure, when you identify this type of transaction. And part on training and awareness. If you are a reporting agency, then you need to establish your agency to have the people in the agency selected to do training on the AMLA compliance officer requirement, and you need to do an independent audit. So this AMLA related risk assessment need to be audited also. Right, we go back to the main presentation purpose.